For 90 days, I decided to train for a Murph to see how fast I could get. And I actually did this with my dad, who's in his 50s, so it was a really fun challenge.
If all goes as perfectly planned in my dreams, I'll beat Joshua by the end of 3 months.
For those of you that don't know, a Murph is a CrossFit challenge, and I edited it a little bit to make it a little easier on me, but this is generally what it is. A Murph is a set of exercises that you do for time. It starts with 1 mile run, then 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and then you run another mile. There's a few ways to do this challenge. The way I chose to do it was to partition the groups up. So I would run the mile at the beginning and at the end, but in between, I could mix up my sets of everything else. So what I ended up doing was like 5 reps of pull-ups, then 10 reps of push-ups, 15 reps of squats, and then I'd repeat, which allowed me to have some rest for the muscle group itself, but continue the motion. A different way to do it is not partitioning things and doing all the pull-ups at once, then all the push-ups at once, and all the squats at once. And that seemed really hard. So I decided to partition it up, and I'm also not wearing a weighted vest, which is something most CrossFit athletes do. To throw another wrench into things, California forest fires were going crazy at the beginning of this challenge. Because it's really smoky outside, my first day of running is actually gonna be spent biking on this thing. There's a little program, has an imaginary me riding along. So I'll show some footage of me hopefully passing some people on the app on, I think it's Zwift. We'll see what happens. So for the first little bit, we weren't actually able to run outside. My very first Murph on day 1, I simulated the running by biking on a stationary bike for about 8.5 minutes, which I assumed would be a generous mile time, and then doing the workouts, and then biking for another 8.5 minutes. And my time was around 46 minutes. And I put a big asterisk next to this because I know biking isn't the same as running, but it felt like a good starting point. So from there, I was ready to start training every day to try and actually be able to complete a Murph. About to do my first mile test. Can't do it at the track today, so I'm just going around the block with a little GPS watch. We'll see how it goes. I'm feeling pretty sore today. Yesterday I did a lot of push-ups, and my legs are still sore from all the biking and the first day when I did all the squats for Murph. So I think I'm gonna do some active stretching today instead of working out a new muscle group. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be ready to work out hard again. The air quality has been getting better, so I'm hoping that tomorrow I can do an actual Murph and see if my makeshift Murph with the bike was accurate at all. About halfway through the month, the forest fires cooled down and my dad and I were able to start working out together outside and become really consistent with this. It's been a couple weeks of intense smoke, but the air is finally clear again, so I'm gonna go for my first run in a bit. What made me really excited to do this challenge was the fact that I'd be able to do it with my dad. He's 52 and he's in great shape. He's an avid cyclist, but unfortunately for the past 1.5 years, he's had frozen shoulder syndrome, which is a weird condition that I didn't know about that essentially restricts the motion of your shoulders where you can't really lift your shoulders up without experiencing pain. So day 1, my dad couldn't even do a pull-up. Fortunately, this syndrome tends to alleviate itself with time. So leading up to this challenge, my dad had been stretching and doing little rehabilitation exercises. And at the start of this, he was pretty confident that he was ready to start training to be able to do pull-ups and push-ups again. So it seemed like the perfect opportunity to train for this new workout together. All right, Dad, how old are you?
52.
And what did you just do?
I didn't quite beat you yet today, but I did do 60% of a Murph.
Yeah, you ran 2 miles, right?
Ran 2 miles, so that's what? 60 chin-ups, 120 push-ups, and 180 squats.
Yeah, and you had to finish the chin-ups on that thing, but you're working toward the pull-up. You started on pull-ups, right?
That's right, yeah.
How many pull-ups did you get?
Did the first 2 sets, so 10 chin-ups, legit, then did pull-downs.
Nice.
Just finishing up the shoulder injury, almost there.
Good first day.
Good first day.
My dad and I watched some videos of people doing Murphs, and for the most part what we saw were 30-day challenges where people did a Murph every single day. And inevitably a lot of them showed injury, like shin splints or having sore knees. And we decided to not try and do a Murph every day because of this, because we knew we wanted to give our body some time to recover between exercises and make sure that we were doing this in a healthy way that would allow us to continue working out and strengthen our bodies overall after the 90 days. Just ran a mile and did half a Murph with my dad. My back's feeling a little tweaked, so I'm gonna listen to my body and stop at half today. Well, it's day 22 and I just completed my first 3-mile run. So this month kind of feels like a wash because of the smoke and my back feeling a little off. But goals don't always go your way, so I'm not gonna give up on this 30-day journey. I'm gonna see how much of a difference I can make in 9 days and then still have 60 days after that. So at this point, I realized the first month was kind of a wash, but I was still excited about this new habit that we'd been able to develop of working out together and becoming consistent. We started developing a workout plan. So Mondays we do our Murph, and then Tuesdays we were usually a rest day. Wednesday we would do push-ups and different chest exercises and tricep exercises. Then Thursdays we do pull-ups and other back exercises. Fridays we do legs, and then Saturdays we do half a Murph to get ready for the Murph on Monday, and then Sunday would be another rest day. And then we'd run every day that we could. At the end of the month, I was able to do a Murph outside and see how my times had progressed. I was a bit disappointed to find that my time at the end of the month was the same as my time at the beginning of the month, where I had done the biking portion instead of the running portion because of the wildfires. I also realized that that time was an underestimate of what my actual Murph would have been at the beginning, because biking with all these exercises had been a lot easier, especially on my legs, than running with all these exercises was. So I didn't see a huge improvement, but my dad did.
52 minutes and 13 seconds. First full Murph ever. The hardest is the pull-ups. I think the frozen shoulder problem for a year and a half set me back a bit, but I'm coming back. Was able to do 100 pull-ups. Sometimes the sits were only 2 pull-ups at a time, but I got there. It feels good.
At the beginning, he couldn't even do a pull-up, and at the end, he was able to complete half of a Murph, which was spectacular progress. We'll see what the next 60 days hold.